Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. This is where the conversation that truly matters, this is where it happens, in as much as about the public good. This is where you get to hear it from. Thank you very much. Femi Ojo is my name, and we welcome you. And it's been a very busy 24 hours. Very, very busy. Thank you. And Daniel is there. Very busy 24 hours, isn't it?
Absolutely. Good morning.
Good morning.
Very busy.
Thank you.
And good morning to our viewers all over the world. Thank you for joining us once again. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. Like you said, it's been busy. Yesterday, former President Muhammadu Buhari was laid to rest in Daura, Katsina State, with a lot of dignitaries in attendance. But quite notable for me was the conspicuous, the fact that former Nigerian presidents were conspicuously missing at that event. Former Nigeria's former leaders like IBB, like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, like President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, they were all missing at that event. That was so conspicuous. And I was wondering, what exactly happened? How come no former Nigerian president was there to honor late Muhammadu Buhari?
That's worthy of note, actually, because the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, went all out, to give his predecessor, the late Muhammadu Buhari, a state funeral, by all means and standard, actually. Even with the Islamic rites, not really disposed to fanfare, with the Islamic rite, it's you are dead, you should be buried, everybody should move on. Even with that, the federal government went all the way, sent an emissary to London to retrieve the body. They eroded the body back home. The funeral at Daura, the interment and all of those things. Mr. President was there as well with some of the top guys, senators, political bigwigs. But then, for Goodluck Jonathan, he was in London. There are pictures and videos that he was
in London.
He visited the family, spoke with the family, with the widow, with the first son, that's, I forgot his name, Yusuf. And many of them, pictures had them, One might not know what his shadow looked like. But then he was in London, at least for 2 days, and we saw pictures of where it was, the home of the Buhari in London and all of those things. Maybe that might explain that. Possibly had other functions, because nobody would know somebody wants to die, and they might have their week planned out already. Even at that, we've seen that he has contacted the family. Now, I think the only conspicuous person that people will feel maybe he should have been there is Olusegun Obasanjo.
Absolutely.
For IBB, he really moves around right now. These days, he really. I think his last public showing was at his book launch, in which he sat all throughout. I think health reasons and old age for him. I wouldn't know the reason with Lami Abubakar. These men are old, actually, and then they are talked about. But then for Ebro himself, Olusegun Obasanjo, who is old, older than the man who died.
Older but stronger.
Still moving around.
Absolutely.
One might not know the reason, but I'm not sure we should personally overflog it because of one thing or another. Many of them, apart from Olusegun Obasanjo, in fact, Olusegun Obasanjo has spoken on the man Buhari. Goodluck Jonathan was in London even before the body was brought to him. Just like I said, IBB for health and age really moves around. He really leaves that his Mina mansion, and these are the issues. But many things from that you spoke, very well, and I agree 101% about the offshoot of some of the lessons learned from this passing of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. At a point, it was revealed two Nigerian leaders were in a London hospital. People who have held sway led this country at different points. Two of them, and one passed, actually. The other one has been discharged. And so maybe that explains the reason for Abdulsalam Abubakar. He was just discharged in the hospital. One might not know the state of his health now. But then another thing is offshoot of what Femi Adesina said on a program where, definitely he worked with the Buhari for 80 years as media assistant and all of those things, and which is said, that Buhari might have been long dead if actually he was using Nigerian hospital actually, and that he has always been using the London hospital even before he came into power as president, and so you don't expect him just to change that. But him saying those things that way, making it look like Nigeria is a jungle, but that we don't have qualified medical personnel that are fit enough.
That's an indictment on him and Nigerian leaders.
To treat his principal, his late principal, former President Buhari. And he said, for the gullible, my God, for the gullible Nigerians who are thinking that because he's a Nigerian president, so he should just, and if actually the man has played to the gallery, I don't expect that from a Femi Adesina, who knows the import of words. He's a communicator. He's a journalist of repute for so many years. He has spoken now just because, I don't know, whatever.
That was quite.
And maybe that explains the state of mind of so many of our leaders and the people who work with.
Absolutely. No respect for the people.
I'm telling you.
That was quite insensitive. On the part of Femi Adesina, using those words and saying that the President Buhari would have long been dead if he had used Nigerian hospitals. Is that not a testament to the failure of your leader, of your principle?
Yeah.
When our leaders fail, we have to say it as it is. We talked about it yesterday, that it's quite a shame. It's a shameful thing that we are having Nigerian leaders being hospitalized in London. It's quite a shame. Buhari was
same facility,
same facility at the same time. Buhari was president for 8 years.
Yeah.
If for 8 years you are president, you couldn't fix the health sector in your country, then what have you achieved? What exactly have you achieved?
Not even in Abuja.
When he was in power, when he was in president, his wife, the first lady, Aisha Buhari, came out, cried out that, see, there is nothing in Nigeria's health sector, especially National Hospital Abuja. That's the wife of the president.
Clinic. She talked about the Asoro Clinic.
That's the
one
lady.
within the villa. Not even the one outside.
Not
the one
functional.
within the villa.
Is that not
testament?
Is that not a testament to the failure of the president? So if someone has failed, we should say it as it is. Buhari failed woefully in that aspect. You've been treated in London, going for, and a spokesperson now claiming that, he's been going.
He could have been long dead.
What a shame. What an insensitive statement.
One of the questions, out of many questions that just have been raising since that unfortunate speech yesterday, because I count it personally unfortunate for you to say that. So what happens to the rest of us that have been treated by Nigerian doctors? Are we less of a Nigerian than the man was actually? So Nigerians are paying for the Nigerian president to be treated outside.
And apart from that,
and now Nigerian doctors are being, there was the time that the legislator was trying to say, that we should make it difficult for Nigerian doctors to travel outside, or that they should sign a bond and they will have to serve for years before they are. But then the president at every time, London. The current president has been elected, always been treated his France and all of those things. So what happens to the rest of the 200 million Nigerians? Are we sub-Nigerian than the leaders are? And you speak to the quality of advice these assistants give to their principals. Possibly if Femi Adesina, obviously, when he hears something or feedbacks and all of those things, all he has to say to his principal is, Papa, don't mind them. They are making noise.
Absolutely. It doesn't make any sense. And again, what he said was quite insensitive and is a serious disrespect on Nigerian healthcare professionals. There is no specialty in medicine that we don't have Nigerians who are capable. I'm saying that, with full authority, because I know that we have Nigerians all over the world in the diaspora working as doctors in different specialties.
Doing great things.
Even ones I know personally. So there is no specialty in medicine that we don't have Nigerians who are capable of handling. Now, Femi Adesina is saying that we don't have the expertise in Nigeria. That's an insult on Nigerian doctors because we have what it takes. All you have to do is build these facilities, equip them. There are Nigerians who can man them. That's just the truth. So
and motivate them.
Absolutely.
Actually, and as we round off, before we go to the paper, if Nigerian doctors and Nigerian health facilities, and they are not good enough, but the Nigerian money is good enough to take care of the president, to fly on Air Force One every time, being funded by the Nigerian people's money. But the Nigerian doctors could have long killed Buhari. That's what it means. They could have long, mismanage the health of the. So what happens now that he died in London?
How about the other Nigerians?
I'm even saying now that the man had died in London. So does that mean the London doctors and the London health facilities killed him?
They finally failed
or
him.
failed him or finished him at the end of the day, because at least Nigerian doctor will say, I know they. I will not do them. But I think by every measure and standard, and that's quite unfortunate. And I maintain that. But what happens to spin doctors, because he's one himself, just wait and see. The media will be blamed for this, for quoting him after contest. And we are used to this drama. We are used to this game.
No, it is what they said.
Yeah.
It is what he said. And again, I do not blame Femi Adesina. I blame our institutions. I blame the National Assembly. I blame the National Assembly.
For doing what?
They've been so weak. I've been calling out for a long time on a radio show, Forward Nigeria, that if we truly want to fix Nigeria, there are simple things we can do. Let us have legislation that will bar our leaders from seeking healthcare outside Nigeria. As an ordinary Nigerian, if you want to seek, treatment outside Nigeria, no problem. But once you are vying for office, once you are in office, there should be a law saying that you are not entitled to go abroad to take treatment until we start doing that. For our healthcare sector, for our education sector, yes. Yeah. Until we have legislation like that to stop them from going outside to treat themselves, from sending their children on awards abroad for education, until we do that, we are not serious.
The question is, who will make these legislation?
Of course, that's why I said the National Assembly. They have the power to do it. They can. If they want to, Femi, are they immune
from this same service you're talking about?
Of course, that's a sacrifice you're talking about. So if you truly want to serve, you should be able to say that, until we fix our healthcare sector and education sector, we have to also experience what ordinary Nigerians
Then I think we must wait much more longer than this time, because I've not seen that.
I strongly believe we're going to have a new generation of leaders in Nigeria. I'm so optimistic.
Yeah.
Things will change.
You just don't know.
Things will change.
Not with this one. Not with these ones that we know their disposition to anything that comes from the executive.
The current National Assembly is just a rubber stamp. That's it. There's no better way to say it. They're just there, figurates. That's what I call them.
All right, we should do better. So people, Nigerians, you have been told, implicitly by Femi Adesina, your doctors could have mismanaged. The dead man
could have killed your dead man.
If actually he was being managed here. But the rest of you can be managed by the Nigerian doctors that you are left with, either with Inshallah or with the blood of Jesus. Any of the two with it.
Nigeria still has some breathtaking natural areas and national parks. These forests and wild places help maintain healthy ecosystems, clean rivers, rainfall, and even the oxygen we breathe. But if we allow our wildlife to be poached and our forests to be cut illegally, we may lose this forever. So let's do the right thing. Tell your families and friends not to buy illegal bushmeat or illegal timber from our protected forests. It's time to save our wildlife and forests in order to protect our natural heritage. Keep them wild, keep us safe.
We start with the Punch newspaper on the headline segment. Final salute, Nigeria beats a Buhari emotional farewell. And the riders to that says, Tinubu, Akpabio, service chiefs, governors pay final respect amid tears and tribute. And Daura stands still as Katsina Airport records over 130 flights. And Oshimbajo, ex-governors join African leaders, Saudi King Prince Mon Buhari. See the remains of the man being wrapped in the Nigerian flag. Await His Excellency Bola Tinubu bidding, the man Buhari farewell. All right, away from that, marketers protest as Dangote moves to crash cooking gas price. All right, marketers protest as Dangote moves to crash cooking gas price. If there is anything that Nigerians will love to celebrate, if these can really happen, because right now, an average cooking gas per kilogram sells between 1,000 naira and I think 1,200 naira, depending on where you are buying. So imagine if it's slashed in half, like 500 naira. I think that will really work, and Nigerians will not mind any marketer that want to be a problem.
Absolutely, and it was actually around that 500 naira. That was a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago. It was around 500 naira.
Did you say just 2 years ago? I remember I bought 130 naira, 170 naira before everything flew up, you know, and they sold 1.5 before 1.4. And now it's around 1,030 naira and 1,200 naira, depending on where you are buying. But if these could happen, actually, but then why would the marketers be protesting? Actually, because it will be a function of whatever you are buying is whatever you'll be selling. So what's the protest?
Absolutely.
Actually, all right.
It's just a case of communication of policy. You know, sometimes when people feel they will be disenfranchised or they will be losing, that's when they start agitating. But if they really understand the mechanisms, how it works, they won't be complaining. Right.
Awujale's burial frees Yoruba kings from ritual slavery. Awujale's burial frees Yoruba kings from ritual slavery. Oluwo, and many persons might want to ask Kabiyesi to say, how so that you have made this position? But some want to say, okay, maybe they understand his position because he's a man, that's the king, Oluwo, Batilu Abdul-Rashid Akanbi, who I've always said, you know, he, for one, would prefer to be recognized as an Islamist, you know, somebody of the Islamic faith, and somebody practicing tradition and all of those things. So, you know, there are news that the Oba Awujale, who passed on to his ancestors, was buried, you know, using the Islamic rites and all of those things. And the traditionalists, I think we read yesterday,
absolutely.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That's
they actually tried to take over. They have to use security just to keep them out.
And the king was buried, you know, the following day that he died, you know, via the Islamic rites and all of those things. So the king, Oluwo, might see it as a victory, you know, based on his position, as you're allowed to practice your religion apart from being traditionalist and all of those rituals. All right, but then the cultural inclined person, traditionalist might want to frown at that to say, if you're a Yoruba king, definitely you are not averse to any tradition, I mean, any religion, but then you should be a
traditionalist. But according to this headline, this report now, well, it seems as though they are trying to emancipate themselves from ritual slavery of the traditions.
But there is always a place for culture. There are things you should do to emerge as a king. In fact, there is a reason why you are called a king.
Because the same rituals brought you into
as a king. That is your legitimacy as a king. But that conversation is neither here nor there. Now, Nigeria's oil output soars above OPEC quota. Wow, that should be a good news. It's been long that we even, you know, reached the OPEC quota. That should be around 2.2 million.
So does it mean which means you're not producing up to 2 million barrels per day?
And I guess we say let's double check.
Absolutely.
Not central states, but that should be a good news if actually that is true. And that means you are getting somewhere. Now, not central states mobilize joint security to crush bandits. They should do that. And over 420 federal roads completed or in progress. Federal government, I just would like to know the ones that are completed. It's not doing any Nigerian favor to you to say over 420 federal roads completed or in progress. No, if it's 300 that is completed, let's say 300 is, 300 roads are completed and 120 roads are being, you know, maintained and all of those things. That'll be all from the Punch.
From the Punch newspaper, we move to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. The Patriots All-Inclusive Confab begins in Abuja. The Patriots All-Inclusive Confab begins in Abuja. With riders, delegates set to discuss future of constitutional democracy. Delegates set to discuss future of constitutional democracy. And below that, plan to draft People's Constitution. Talking about the Patriots conference, the confab, which is to begin in Abuja. Let's just hope, because they intend to, come up with a brand new constitution for Nigeria.
Right.
But recently, yesterday we saw the news headline that for the northern part of Nigeria, the majority of what they were agitating for was the creation of new states. And one begins to wonder, why the agitation for new? Right now in Nigeria, we have 19 northern states.
Right.
So if there should be agitation, they have more states than, southern Nigeria. So I just hope they come to that agreement. Recall we had a conversation with, I'm trying to remember his name, the Southwest coordinator for the Patriots. And where I remember asking him that, what about the interest of the various geopolitical zones? Won't there be a clash? Mogaji, absolutely. So I just hope they come to an agreement and harmonize so that they speak with one voice. There should be equality and equity. And let's just hope, absolutely, they come up with a brand new constitution, people's constitution, as they say. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. On the top strip, gunmen kill 27, destroy farms, burn several houses in Plateau community. Gunmen kill 27, destroy farms, burn several houses in Plateau community. Beside that, we have visa overstay, respect immigration regulations of host countries. FG tells Nigerians. Visa overstay, respect immigration regulations of host countries. FG tells Nigerians. You find a story on page 10 talking about those who overstay their visas. The FG is warning them, you have to respect those countries if you truly want to be treated well.
And they are making things difficult for the rest of us, actually, because when you overstay, then you constitute a nuisance. And then when those hosting nations take, very hardline positions, then the ones back home are the ones that will...
They start profiling the other ones.
That's it. Just like the issue of UAE, there was a time in which some Nigerian young persons were there and, they were exhibiting their cult characters and they were pursuing one another, macheting one another, causing nuisance, breaking glasses and windscreens and all of those things. Some even went to shops, and they stole, at jewelry shops and all of those things. And, those things, when you do it around that place, it's just a matter of hours or days, you'll be fished out. There are CCTV, not just in the shops, even in the corners of the streets and all of those things. And when they are being caught, they are seen as Nigerians. So what does that do? Those nations, and when there is a pattern to that, then you become a problem. And the nation would rather say anybody from this country, they shut them out. So there are some people that are making the rest of us look bad. And they should stop it. They should be dealt with. Because for those few ones, there are many, many ones doing great things and absolutely marvelous things in these countries of the world as well. But the few, like 10, 20, 50 bad eggs, will spoil the rest of the crates of the egg. And so it will be better for you, if you have a neighbor who is always disturbing you, okay, come and fetch water in my house, come and do some things. And all of a sudden, they are spoiling your tap, spoiling your...
It's better you stop them.
These things, and they make over and over. You'd rather say, please, stay up. It's as simple as that. So Nigerians should behave themselves when they get out of the country.
Absolutely. Away from that, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, Dangote to wealthy Nigerians, invest in Nigeria. Dangote to wealthy Nigerians, invest in Nigeria. With the writer reveals how it built $20 billion refinery. Talking about Dangote, he's been doing great things in Nigeria. The $20 billion refinery, that's a 650,000 barrels per day refinery. And now he's planning to build the largest deep sea port in Nigeria, because apparently the MPA, not quite long ago, he visited the Nigerian Port Authority where he was with the MD. And when I went deeply to study that report, what Dangote is planning to do, as it is right now, the MPA cannot even handle Dangote's transactions. Dangote alone, effectively, they can't handle his transactions. The volume of transactions, that Dangote will be managing. MPA cannot handle it. So now he has come up with his own idea to have his own deep sea port. And that's a very great one. Here is one man doing so much, achieving things that a whole nation could not achieve because of bad leadership. It's as simple as that.
Well,
So one person is coming and is making things work. He's making things work. I don't
many
know.
Nigerians will say, he's one of us. So we're
Absolutely.
happy.
Yeah, of course, we are happy.
Okay.
We are happy. And it's an indictment on our leaders that if this thing, if a private individual can make this work, then why is the government failing? Well, away from that, I'm still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Sea of Heads as Buhari's state funeral in Daura features full military honors. Sea of Heads as Buhari's state funeral in Daura features full military honors, talking about the burial of late President General Muhammadu Buhari, with riders Tinubu, Shettima, Atiku, African leaders, governors, military leaders, ministers, family, others pay last respect. Now you can see the pictures right there. You can see the military men dressed in a uniform, and of course you can see the President of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, paying his last respect to the remains of late General Muhammadu Buhari. And that will be all from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
All right, away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's take a look at the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust, how Buhari was honored, buried, and many pictures there from when the body was, brought out of the plane to the Sea of Heads. People waiting to have a last glimpse of the man, the body of the man, the president, having a warm hug with Yusuf Buhari, the son of the man, and of course the vice president with other persons paying their last respect at the tomb of the man, and of course Mr. President himself, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, taking a bow to his predecessor, and of course once a party man, they worked together for Buhari to emerge, and Ashwaju played quite a very important role. Now the role has been reversed, but then the man has passed, General Muhammadu Buhari. All right, farewell to him and his legacy. Now, APC education and the digital future from Uzodinma. All right, and that will be all from the Daily Trust.
And from the Daily Trust, we move to the front page of The Nation newspaper this morning. On The Nation newspaper, Buhari exits in blaze of glory. Buhari exits in blaze of glory. Still talking about the funeral of late President General Muhammadu Buhari, with riders, Tinubu, African leaders, governors, ordinary folk bid ex-president farewell. And below that, we have Katsina, Daura locked down. Of course, Daura has to be locked down. It's the funeral of Nigeria's former president. You can see the pictures right there. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu paying his last respect to late General Muhammadu Buhari. Yesterday was all about the funeral. Below that, you can also see pictures of some, ordinary folk, widows, old women, and people sobbing, just paying their last respect to the former president. On the top strip of The Nation newspaper this morning, US, UAE visa issuance. Federal government begins action on issues of concern. US, UAE visa issuance. Federal government begins action on issues of concern. Yes, I saw reports, Nigerian government saying that, they've not received any official documentation from the UAE to show their implementation of their new policy, but it is what it is. The country has said this is what they want to do. So whether or not you accept it, whether or not you receive any official notice or document from them, they have implemented it. So it's left for you to take action. Your diplomatic missions in those countries, how active are they? So that's just That's just it. The countries are free to make their own policies. They don't need permission from you. It's how you relate with them that matters. Beside that, we have Akpabio appeals judgment on Natasha's suspension suit. Akpabio appeals judgment on Natasha's suspension suit. Quite interesting. Akpabio has appealed that ruling, and Akpabio, that's the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, and his legal team, they have decided, I mean, they actually, they were schooling the judge who gave that ruling in that appeal. They said it was, the court didn't have the jurisdiction. They were talking about the Federal High Court Judge in Abuja, Justice Binta Nyako, who gave that ruling. They said they don't have that jurisdiction, that these are matters of the legislature. Okay, that it's not that it falls out of the purview of the judiciary, that they had no right in the first place to give that ruling, and it gave several other on the 12th ground appeal. So it gave, I mean, several other reasons why that judgment, why there were errors in that judgment. I'm still
the
talking
question
about.
is, to what end? To what end is the Senate President appealing? Okay. The court has spoken on the matter. Do we really need the winner in this kind of fracas?
He's even saying the court has no right.
Who's the winner? Well, I wouldn't know that constitutionally speaking.
He said according to section 251 of the Nigerian Constitution. Do we really need a winner
and a loser in all of this? And everybody just move on.
Absolutely.
But now that there is a plan to appeal.
I really hope we get a legal practitioner to look into that, because in that appeal, the Senate President claimed that according to section 251 of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, that the judiciary has no hand in that case. That they should just
have no business.
Absolutely. That is beyond, it's out of their purview.
Legislative matter.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's his major point.
May Lord will go, we'll have the idea.
Absolutely. Away from that, beside that, we have another story. 79 Ponzi schemes in operation. SEC warns. 79 Ponzi schemes in operation. SEC warns. Let's talk about the Security and Exchange Commission. You find that story on page 27. We have so many Ponzi schemes. You can't really stop Nigerians from doing that, can you? They just want to invest. Whenever a Ponzi scheme pops up, people, within minutes, Nigerians are there already. Nigeria is a huge market for anyone. And these Ponzi schemes are actually taking advantage.
Because when they have their fingers, not just their fingers, the whole of their body is burned, people will still talk about the government. How they didn't want them, how they were not informed, how they were not sensitized, how the government is not, protecting them against all of these fraudsters. You have it now in your faces, and they are telling you, if it is too good to be true, most times, it is not true.
Absolutely.
But the money appetite in everybody, especially when it's fast. You can just have it in 2 hours, in a day, in two days. Money doubling. Banks doesn't even do that. I'm not sure even Forex pays like that. Some of those things. But
no,
then
for Forex, they even warn you that you are at risk of losing your money.
Big risk. And, if you want to chest it, as they say, it's Mela.
Absolutely. Below that, we have stock markets capitalization rises to 127 trillion naira. Stock markets capitalization rises to 127 trillion naira. Find the story on page 27 as well. The Nigerian stock market at this point is doing so well. One of the fastest growing exchanges in the world right now. Actually, we're having a lot of people, foreigners, even investing in the NGX, Nigerian stock market. So Nigerians should take advantage of that as well. But again, anything can happen. Might go up, might go down. So it's all about your risk appetite.
It's business.
Absolutely. And still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, below we have Inside. We have Guinea-Bissau talking about the funeral of former President General Muhammadu Buhari. We have Guinea-Bissau President Embalo, Niger Republic PM Ali, ex-leader Bazoum at graveside. Below that, we have cherished moments. Cherished moments I never had with my dad. With dad, that was coming from his daughter by daughter. Cherished moments I never had with dad by daughter. Below that, how Zara received news of father's death. And Saudi King Salman, Crown Prince Mohammed mourn. And finally, we have Guterres sends condolence, all about the funeral of former President General Muhammadu Buhari. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right. I think that will be all for the headline segment this morning. We take a break. When we return, we'll speak about some of these issues, especially carpeting of the Nigerian doctors and Nigerian health facilities not to be good enough to manage a public official, in the stature of former President and late President Muhammadu Buhari by one of his aides, Femi Adesina. Is that true? That will be answered after. Stay with it.